Welcome to the Creative Penn podcast. I'm Joanna Penn, thriller author and creative entrepreneur, bringing you interviews, inspiration and information on writing, publishing options and marketing ideas for your book. You can find the episode show notes, your free author blueprint and lots more information at thecreativepenn.com, and that's Penn with a double N. And here's the show. Hello creatives, I'm Joanna Penn and this is episode 520 of the podcast, and it is Wednesday 2nd of December 2020 as I record this. So today I have a solo episode on voice technologies, streaming and subscription. And this is the third and final in this extra mini-sodes and solo-sodes, whatever you want to call them, based on my new book, Artificial Intelligence, Blockchain and Virtual Worlds, the Impact of Converging Technologies on Authors and the Publishing Industry. And I am quite excited because this book hit number one in the AI category on Amazon.com yesterday, which I'm so proud of. It's so funny because I've written, 34 books at this point, and I'm more proud of this one than I have been, just more excited, not proud. I'm proud of all of my books, but I'm proud that I made an impact in a category that I never even thought I would write in. So I'm quite excited about that. The ebook is out on all the platforms, coming soon in print and audio. The book covers 1. Writing in the age of AI, including natural language generation models like GPT-3, which I covered a couple of days ago. 2. Copyright law, blockchain for smart contracts and micropayments, which I covered in the last episode. 3. AI-assisted translation. 4. Voice technology, streaming and subscription, which we're covering today. 5. Virtual worlds and augmented reality. And 6. Global digital mobile, a wave of new writers and readers. And I truly believe that all of this will expand our possibilities in the decade ahead. Change is always difficult for some people, but it doesn't necessarily mean everything's terrible. It means that there are opportunities and things ahead, and we need to embrace the wave of change and not run from it. So I did an introduction to the whole book in the first episode, and as I said, I'm truly positive about this, so I hope you find it interesting. Voice technologies, streaming and subscription. The written word is still the primary focus for authors and publishing, but in the last few years there has been significant growth in audiobook revenue and the use of podcasting for book marketing. A Deloitte paper on audiobooks and podcasting, The Ears Have It, noted that, at current growth rates, audiobook revenues are on a trajectory to pass ebooks by 2023 or so. It's an exciting time to be in audio, and there are some societal trends and technological shifts that will grow the market and expand possibilities even further. Streaming and subscription models. Possession is not as important as it once was. Accessing is more important than ever. Kevin Kelly, The Inevitable. Understanding the 12 technological forces that will shape our future. The subscription model for content is great value for consumers. They can watch unlimited movies and TV on Netflix and listen to unlimited music on Spotify, both of which are tailored to individual preferences. They can read on Kindle Unlimited, and there are many more examples of this kind of subscription. It is a mainstream business model and already an option for audio in many markets, with Storytel, Scribd and others, even though it has yet to pervade the significant audiobook markets of the US and UK. Publishing has slowly followed the trajectory of the music industry in terms of digital transformation. And TechCrunch reported in September 2020 that revenue for recorded music has increased during 2020, owing to the growth in streaming under the pandemic. Paid subscriptions like Spotify and Apple Music are up 24% year on year. Streaming now makes up 85% of all music revenue in the US, with physical sales at 7% and digital downloads at 6%. The 2020s will bring many more technological options as listeners continue to embrace unlimited subscription models. They can try more varied audio with no risk, and they're more likely to try it on a platform where they already listen to music and podcasts. Daniel Ek, CEO of Spotify, wrote on their company blog in February 2019, Over time, more than 20% of all Spotify listening will be non-music content. Things change fast, but the path ahead for Spotify is clear. We want to become the world's leading audio platform. Many in the English-speaking audiobook publishing world are wary of the subscription model, but it can bring opportunity. At the UK Future Book Conference online in November 2020, there were several sessions from European audiobook publishers. Highlights include: some audiobook publishers are gaining 30% of additional revenue from streaming. New audiences don't necessarily overlap to a la carte purchases, so the audiobook market is expanding as a whole. More than 60% of audiobook subscription revenue comes from the backlist, bringing new life to older books. Fiction sales in audiobook overtook ebook sales in Sweden in early 2020, and fiction publishing is now partially driven by what will perform well in audio. The arrival of Storytel in Spain tripled the audiobook market with a growth of 300%, and 91% of publishers' audiobook revenue is subscription. In the subscription business model, revenue will drop per individual audiobook, even as listenership and the overall market continues to grow. The cost of audiobook production has to come down to make this viable. Michelle Cobb from the Audio Publishers Association pointed out at FutureBook, the availability of titles is the biggest driver of audiobook growth. It's clear that we need more audio, cheaper audio, and multiple narrators in multiple languages producing audio as fast as possible to take advantage of this growth. But if we embrace the subscription model, how can we afford to create the bulk of audio needed to expand the market rapidly? AI voices will narrate mass-market audio content, with human narrators producing artisan audio experiences. At FutureBook, the CEO of Zebralution, a German company that facilitates distribution to streaming services, said that there will always be room for narrators who can add value, but people are used to interacting with AI in terms of Siri and Alexa. AI voices will become so good that it will be hard to tell the difference. There's no way this is not going to happen. AI voice technology is improving rapidly. Check out the demo voices at replicastudios.com for some examples of AI voice actors for gaming. Descript.com offers their overdub functionality, which lets you create a text-to-speech model of your voice with very little training, as well as stock voices that can be used in creative projects. I've created my own voice double with their technology. But this is actually me speaking. Just stepping out the text clearly to prove that it's not me. And I think this is the problem. Obviously AI voices for audiobook, you don't want them to extemporise, but doing a podcast, you kind of occasionally want to jump out and prove that you're a human. So yeah, this is me. Although Matt Buckman, ML Buckman, who's been on the show, did say to me he did wonder whether I used my AI voice to narrate the last episode because I don't think I jumped out very much. But until my AI voice double can giggle, I think you'll know it's me. Going back in. It's not good enough yet for me to retire from narrating my own non-fiction, but it has some emotional intonation, and with development of new audio editing tools, this technology is not far off the mainstream. Cost of production is one aspect that will drive AI voice creation, but it's also about consumer desire. At FutureBook 2020, in a presentation on the Nielsen Audiobook Consumer Survey, it was noted that the main barriers to audio include listeners being put off by cost and lack of titles available, but also by narration. This might be a technically poor performance or production, but more usually it's the wrong voice for the book in the reader's mind, or just a matter of personal taste. I listen to a lot of business and technology books, but often the voice is an American male, and sometimes this puts me off enough to stop listening. I would prefer a British female with an accent similar to my own, because that's the voice I hear in my head. I want the narrator to fade away so I can focus on the content. Consumers are used to changing the voice of their devices. Siri on my phone is British female, although I could change the voice to a different accent and gender if I wanted to. You can change the voice on your Google Maps navigation to an incredible range of options, and you can also change Alexa to speak in different accents, or even as Samuel L. Jackson if you like. As a consumer, I want an audio app that allows me to change the voice of the narrator for any audiobook I choose. That will only be possible with AI voices. Audio purists are resistant to AI voices, claiming that only human actors can perform an audiobook. But this attitude prevents the creation of audiobooks for every written work in multiple languages at the speed at which consumers want audio. This resistance is preventing the growth of the market. But hopefully that will change in the next decade as they realise the market can encompass all options. Audio licensing rights will expand for different levels of listener experience. The current licensing model for audiobook rights is to license one audiobook product per language and sometimes by territory, depending on the licensing. But audiobook rights licensing needs to diversify to take account of AI. At the mass market level, an AI-narrated cheap edition will satisfy many listeners for the majority of books. For example, I mainly listen to non-fiction business and technology audiobooks at 1.5x speed. I just want the information. I don't need a nuanced performance. A friend of mine, a busy professional mum who can only consume by listening while doing other things, lamented the fact that she can't get everything she wants in audio. I explained the costs involved, and she said she didn't care so much about the narrator, she just needed a way to listen. AI narration would clearly solve this consumer problem. The next level is the human-performed edition, where art and linguistic talent matter, which reflects most audiobooks available now, with professional actors and narrators performing the work. I currently narrate my own non-fiction, and given the emergence of the AI-narrated option, I'd expect to charge more for the human touch, selling direct to my audience to sidestep the cheaper subscription models. The premium edition remains the dramatised version with a full professional cast and musical score, the ultimate audio experience at a premium price. This stratification of audio rights would drive growth in the audiobook market and expand revenue streams. If all books were available in audio format in all countries and all languages, it would benefit the industry financially, and it could also educate, entertain and inspire so many more listeners. Books can change lives, so we must invest in making sure the sum of human knowledge and experience is available in audio. This will be achieved with AI voices performing audio, AI translation to produce more books in more languages, and AI-assisted distribution, sales and marketing tools to reach more people across the globe. And yes, I'm super excited about this. Sometimes I get so frustrated because I feel like people think this is somehow a negative thing, but it is going to be a whole new economy. It's just, woohoo! Just run away with excitement there. Authors and publishers will sell directly from their own platforms to superfans who want to support creators. Consumers want streaming and subscription audio for the majority of their listening, but they also care about supporting the artists they love. The rise of crowdfunding platforms and patronage have enabled many artists to produce the audio work their fans enjoy and are happy to pay for. Just check out Kickstarter and Patreon for audiobooks and podcasts, and you will find a world of creation away from the big vendors. This book started out as a podcast episode supported by my patrons on Patreon, whose financial contribution allows me the time to think about these bigger issues. They could just listen for free every week, but they give a few dollars a month to support the show because they find value in it. Thank you, patrons! And yes, thank you indeed, patrons. You're in the book. I've been selling my ebooks and audiobooks directly for years, and the options for direct audio have increased in 2020 with the rollout of Authors Direct from findawayvoices.com, the recent addition of BookFunnel for audio, as well as marketing options through BookBub's Chirp app. Hopefully, these will expand internationally over time. If we make the most of technological change, we can create different audio products for different markets and expand a thriving economic model for authors, rights holders, narrators, and the audiobook industry. It truly is the most exciting time to be in audio. So I hope you found that interesting, and even though some of the other things I covered in the last two episodes are further out, for sure, streaming and subscription is already happening now, and in the established markets, US, UK, it's probably going to be coming in 2021 or 2022 into these markets, and some of the difficulties with Audible right now, I think, are part of their attempt to compete with this, which is going to arrive pretty soon. And AI voices are pretty mature in some areas, and we just need a platform that allows the sale and distribution of that. At the moment, all the stores only allow human voices. Although, to be honest, sometimes I'm listening to an audiobook and I'm like, is this really a human? Some of the narrators sound like an AI at this point. When someone like me listens to, I listen to AI voices, it doesn't bother me. So when I hear a human narration that sounds a bit robotic, I think, it must be an AI. But of course, it's generally not. At least, I don't think so. Who knows? This might be going on all around us. So just to finish up, I know I won't be right about it all, but everything I've written about here is possible. And there are companies in almost every area working on solutions. There is much to do to turn our creative, technological future into reality. My mission for over a decade has been to empower authors with the knowledge they need to choose their creative future. And I intend to continue that with this new direction, sharing my experience and lessons along the way. I hope you're inspired by the possibilities of the next decade. If you have any comments, please leave them on the episode, thecreativepenn.com/podcast, and this is episode 520. If you work in these areas and would like to connect, or if you have new ideas that might empower authors and propel our industry forward, please reach out. I'll also be speaking professionally and consulting in this area. So if you have business opportunities, I'd love to talk. Email me, joanna@thecreativepenn.com. Tweet me @thecreativepenn with a double N. I look forward to hearing from you. So you can now get the ebook on all the usual stores, which covers a lot more ground. I'd really appreciate reviews on the book if you find it useful or interesting. And of course, I expect it to be controversial in many ways. So that's it for these solo shows. There are 3 other chapters in the book on AI, AI-assisted translation, virtual worlds and augmented reality, and global digital mobile, a world of new readers and writers. But I will leave those for the audiobook. You can find the book on the usual platforms, or just go to thecreativepenn.com/books. So I'll be back on Monday with the usual format, back to the usual things and the news and normal publishing and writing related stuff. No futurist things at all, don't worry. So I have an interview on creativity and productivity with Jessie Quack. So happy writing, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening today. I hope you found it helpful. You might also like the backlist episodes and show notes, available at thecreativepenn.com/podcast. You can also get your free author blueprint at thecreativepenn.com/blueprint. If you'd like to connect, you can tweet me @thecreativepenn or find me on Facebook @thecreativepenn. See you next time.